Hi guys, guess what? National Pig Day. What better day and better holiday any other day, man? This is almost better than Christmas, right?
Well, I don't know. It's better than a lot of them, like Valentine's Day. And
right?
It's not a Hallmark-made holiday.
It should be, though.
It should be. We should start sending cards on National Pig Day.
Absolutely.
So, anyway, yeah, National Pig Day. So we thought we would rename our show. I thought we had the logo up there. I think we're big time now. We're now calling this show Bacon Tonight. So when you see us every week and you think, boy, they're on again, now it's going to have a name. And next week, might even have a theme song. We're going big time here.
Yeah, we got a tripod and now we have a name.
Yeah.
My gosh, I mean, it's really getting serious around here.
So anyways, National Pig Day. So we thought we'd open with some pig fun facts before we get to all the other stuff. But some things you may or may not have known. A lot of people think pigs are fat and lazy and don't do nothing. Well, they can run at a top speed of 11 miles per hour. Faster than I can probably go.
I know it's faster than I can go.
I'm pretty sure I can't go that fast. So, yeah, they can run a mile in like 5.5 minutes. I gave up on that a long time ago.
I never tried.
Yeah. They made me do it in gym class, and I only did it because I had to. And then, you know, a lot of people say, oh, I'm sweating like a pig. You're not. You're not sweating like a pig because pigs don't sweat.
You have 0 sweat glands.
Yeah, none. So I know you like the saying, but quit saying it. Pigs don't like it. I went out and asked them earlier. Also, when a pig squeals, they're laughing out. The people behind the camera tonight, the ones you don't see,
the hecklers of the crowd,
are making fun of our fun facts. We're gonna fire them. But anyways, when a pig squeals, and if you've ever been around pigs, you've heard them squeal.
Mm-hmm.
It's bad, but I didn't know how bad. They can reach 130 decibels with their squeal, louder than a chainsaw. And this says some airliners. Be louder than an airplane. I believe it.
I believe it too.
When we pulled up and you guys weren't here yet, and them sows hadn't been fed, they saw us get out of the car.
It was it was.
Oh, they weren't happy. Also, in the Chinese culture, I should probably read this. Pigs are viewed as a sign of fertility because of the size of their litters, and couples decorate their homes with pigs in hopes of conceiving. I decorate my home with pigs, but that's not...
Maybe you may end up having a litter soon.
I don't need a whole litter worth, but...
You just never know.
Heck yeah, we're good.
Alright, now we're back.
Alright, a pig can actually outrun Logan. That's funny.
We can always count on your mom.
I know. If no one else is going to watch Bacon Tonight, she is. Right. So anyways, our last fun fact, and this is about today's holiday, as the computer turns itself off. We're just having lots of problems tonight. But this holiday, National Pig Day, was started in 1972 by 2 sisters to recognize the pig's place as one of man's most intellectual and domesticated animals. I like that. About time people started recognizing pigs.
Right, for the intelligence level they have.
Exactly. That's our pig fun facts for National Pig Day.
If you guys have any more fun facts that you guys would like to share with everybody else, please do so.
Yeah, let us know in the comments. We're going to open every week with some fun jokes. We're going to just be comedians here. Also, you can see these cute little koozies we got.
Porkatarians, that's what we are.
Porkatarians. Also, not beer, it's just Pepsi, in case anyone's wondering out there. Also, we'll change our koozies if you want to sponsor us. So
yeah, please. Like we're more than happy to
Purina,
put you here on
Orscheln's.
Right.
Whoever.
We'll put you on Bacon Tonight. So.
We reach lots of people. Surprisingly, people watch us. So.
Right.
We'll switch koozies.
Angela just says she watches every week and she's glad that Logan is feeling better.
Look at this.
Oh,
we have a following.
I would like to comment, so is Logan's roommate.
Yes, I was so sad last week without you.
I was dying in my bed, but I was watching you chase your pigs in around the barn and outside.
That is not the way that I had planned out in my head. It did not work out well at all. But, you know, it was the attempt that counted, right?
Yeah, hey, I showed them off.
Showed what their attitudes are like.
And it showed that you have good patience.
Well, I just knew that...
At least in front of a camera.
At least in front of the camera, that is very right. Chase had to chase a couple of them down outside. It was so funny. It was
no
all
big
good.
Deal.
They didn't run far.
So, why... why we kind of started this, why we got hooked up and started doing this stuff. We're still having our open houses. I'll let Becky talk a little bit first about that.
Our first open house is this weekend, actually, in about 3 days. I may be a little nervous, also very excited as well. So we're going to open the barn up. We'll probably have the barn ready to go for viewing around 8 o'clock in the morning, and then the sales will start about 9. We're going to have coffee and donuts in the morning, and we'll have other refreshments, some pop and some water all day long. And then probably around 11 o'clock or so, we're going to have some pork, some baked beans, and some chips to serve as well, so those people that are still here then. Logan went through the barn tonight. I think he's pretty excited what's out there.
You guys are going to be very happy with what's out there. And there's one little barrel out there. If you're wanting a barrel for anything, there's a special one out there, and he needs to be picked up and put in a good home.
I think I think that he's going to speak for himself when everybody gets here. If we were barrel showers, he would definitely not be leaving the farm. That's for sure.
If he still had his manhood, he'd probably be going in a stud somewhere.
He's flat good. He really is. And I can't wait for everybody to see and kind of get some feedback from everybody. So that's going to be this Saturday. So please, please, please come see us. Email me, call me, message me on Facebook with any questions you guys have. I have some pictures of those Durocs that everybody's been asking about. We took last night. Finally got some pictures of them.
They're looking very good.
They are looking good. They're still just a little bit green, but they're not looking bad. Their better days are coming ahead. But I wish everybody else could have maybe seen them grow as much as we have, because they have changed a lot, and you can really see it starting to turn it on now. So please, guys, come see us. And I'll let Logan kind of talk about what's going on the 18th.
So March 18th, we are having our open house with Becky and Chase Allthebone. They're coming down, as well as Mark and Ronnie Cole. There's going to be pigs from the Cole family too. So we're super excited about that. One big change since I guess the last time I was here. Mm-hmm. There's a change of location. It is moving to Flint's Country Store, which is the feed store. It's halfway in between Silva and Cuba, right off of the highway right there.
Which highway is that?
It's Highway 19.
Highway 19.
So if you're coming in from the north, anyway, if you come off of 44 and you get off of Cuba, you're just going to head south like you're going to Stillville. You can't miss it. It's right on the left there before you get into town. Like I said, about halfway. You'll see us. We'll have Big Ten stuff up, but it's changed to Flint's Country Store. That's the final. That's it. That's the location where we're having it. Our pigs are looking good. Becky's pigs are looking good, and I'm sure Mark and Ronnie's are.
There's no doubt.
Yeah.
They're headed down. Mark and Ronnie, I believe, are headed down to Belton for the winter type conference.
Yep, they're headed down to Belton, Texas. I know I can't remember what all they told me. I know they said they were taking some Duroc boars, maybe a Duroc gilt and a Hamp gilt. Maybe I can't remember what all they said, but
I know for sure they're taking the 2 Duroc boars.
Yeah, those 2 Duroc boars they're pretty good. I like them. They were nice looking.
They are.
So nice. We wish them safe travels and good luck down there this week. Bring home a win.
For Missouri.
So, and then after our open house on the 18th, I think Becky's got some more.
Randy would like to know how many pigs will be available. They are going to come on the 18th.
On the 18th. We have around 15, 17, somewhere in there that I have personally.
I'm still not 100% sure on how many we're going to bring. I know that there's some that we're not going to be showing this weekend at our open house that will be exclusively at Logan's. That exact number I don't know yet, but Brandy, I promise you I'll bring you your spot board down there. So Logan looked at him tonight and she was kind of impressed with him as well. So, do you know how many Mark and Ronnie are bringing?
I would say somewhere around the same number as the rest of us. We're going to have plenty of pigs down there this weekend. This weekend, the 18th, whatever that is. I haven't heard a for sure number on what Mark and Ronnie have yet.
I think that our goal is to have 40 to 50, maybe 60 head of pigs down there.
Right.
So I think that we're going to hit that pretty easily.
And we kind of went. I know I went through my barn this past week, and we just went through all their pigs, and I can't speak for Mark and Ryan, but we're going to have a budget for everybody.
A range for everybody. I mean, the lower ends that are just needing something to take to the county fair and make that premium sale, or somebody that's wanting a breeding piece to take home and to start their own operations. There's going to be a little bit there for everybody. I feel pretty comfortable, though, that we're not overpricing anything. If anything, that you're probably going to see some great deals there, just because it's more important to us to get some pigs in some good kids' hands.
Yeah.
Than it is
as much as we like them, they don't need to stay. So we've got them priced to move, that's for sure.
Randy also says that Tyler can't wait. They are throwing names around for him already. We are needing a nice spotted gilt as well, so they can't wait to see what is there.
Well, I've got some nice spotted gilts out there. That's probably, I say this about every pen, though. I mean, it is really one of my favorite litters out there. They're just flashy. They're just showy. They know that they're show pigs, and they like to strut their stuff. but they have an excellent disposition as well. So I'm really excited for everybody to see those pigs. So we'll have some spotted gilts down there for you. Worst case scenario, we have some younger pigs too that are still looking nice. They're still just a little green for us to be showing this weekend at our first open house, but that's why we have 2 different sets. That way we have enough to go around.
Yeah, we're gonna have there's some stuff for everybody. If you're wanting a breeding piece, there's definitely some breeding pieces in there. I found one in their barn tonight that, don't yell at me, Mom, but it's definitely coming home. So
he promises he's limiting himself at 5. I told him that he might end up with 27 if he kept it up.
We're not gonna have 27, Mom. I want to live.
Oh, just wait till you get out of college. You're gonna have to own some acreage.
Well, yeah, as soon as I'm out of her house, look out, world.
Gonna take over the show pig world.
Yeah, we'll see. So we kind of have been getting some ideas from you guys the past couple of times we did this about things you want to talk about, and we kind of have some things lined out about what we want to talk about when we want to talk about it. But we thought we'd cover a lot of just basic stuff tonight that maybe before you get into coming to their open house this weekend or any of the open houses, when you're going out looking, maybe you're still new to this and you don't even know what you want. So we thought we kind of covered the different breeds that are available. We don't have everything, but we're gonna have a good variety of not only price ranges but breeds too. But so we thought we'd kind of go over maybe the breeds, tell you what our favorite breeds are, what some advantages of the breeds are, just so you've got an idea of, just so you know there's other stuff out there. Not everything's a crossbred, not everything's just a plain old pink pig, as some people say.
Yep. I have somebody painting me a picture for some raffles, and I keep calling it a raffle. It's a drawing that we're having this weekend. And I told her the only rule she had was she can't paint the pig pink. Because I know, you know, that a lot of the pigs, most of the pigs in the world are not pink. So...
Not even the pink ones aren't really pink, so...
Right. So we won't have a painting of any pink pigs. So the pig will be black and white. So
there we go.
Right.
So we've got a whole stack of breeds here we're going to kind of go over with you just to show you what all's out there. I don't know how's the best way to be able to see them is. But the first one we've got on here, very good maternal breed. Can you see this, Cassie?
Yeah, but they cannot see what it is. So why don't you tell them?
Well, I know, but I'm just saying, can they see the pig, though?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is a Yorkshire. Good maternal breed. Typically lay down, have big litters. Very good milkers. Very good mom. But there's been some good market pigs out of Yorks, too. A lot of your crossbreeding, when it goes back to it, it started on a York sow. So that's some pros about the Yorkshire breed. Those are going to be all white with the erect ears.
Right. So, and some maybe things to think about when you're some not desirable traits of a Yorkshire pig would be any dark markings. And I think that's about the only thing that I can really think of. Maybe an ear that wasn't setting up right where it's supposed to be. But if it has any pigmentation to the skin at all, then I would consider that as a huge disadvantage to that pig, and probably would question some of the breeding in the background of that. Mm-hmm. So, yeah,
all right.
I don't have. Now, I'm sorry if you guys have some more information about Yorkshires. I don't have much experience with them. Seen them in the show ring. Know some people that breed them, but I've never had a litter of Yorkshire pigs. So,
yep. Next one is one of my favorites. I know it's one of the Cole's favorites. But that is your Duroc. They're an all-red pig with down ears or floppy ears, as some people like to say. They can be good moms. I've seen a lot of pigs here lately that they go out in the market shows and they're winning. So there's some Durocs that are out there winning.
Right. I believe it was the Supreme Champion Guild at the San Antonio show. Is he the
Was one of these Texas shows here lately was a Duroc.
Was a Duroc. Very impressive for her to go out and beat those crossbreds. She was a phenomenal looking pig. I think
wasn't champion 4-H Barrett State Fair last year was a Duroc, wasn't it?
The reserve champion was.
Yes.
Yep. Exactly. Came from it was a Duroc, which is I think Doug Sin showed. So very impressive. So and also saying I'm going to back up just a second to that Yorkshire. There's some different organizations that hold registries and things like that for the pigs. One of them is the National Swine Registry, which is also known as the NSR. The Yorkshire, the Duroc are both part of that NSR package. So as we go down through here, I'll try to remember to tell you if they're an NSR pig or not. There's also another registry that's called CPS, which is Certified Pedigree Swine, and they take care of some of the different breeds. And then there's also a couple in here that have their own registry. Actually, I think the Tans are about the only ones left anymore that have their own registry.
Berks.
Oh, the Berks too, but they're kind
But they're kind of going in.
Yeah, they're kind of
and
going
out,
into the they're kind of going into the whole CPS thing, kind of, sort of.
Yep.
They've adopted us.
So, anyways, Durocs, that's one of my favorites for sure.
They have excellent meat quality.
Yes, they do. People like the Durocs, and we'll
Right.
get to a couple more that they're excellent with their
Right.
meat.
A lot of times you'll go to a high-end restaurant and you'll see on the menu specifically says Duroc meat. It's kind of like seeing Angus, certified Angus on
Right.
the menu. So it's a very popular for their meat production too.
Yep, that's for sure. So another NSR breed would be your Hampshire. This is how a Hampshire should look. There's
Right.
some Hamps that don't, but this is by breed standards. That's a pretty perfect Hampshire right there. You're gonna have that black, the back feet are black, and then they've got their white belt, erect ears. They're a terminal pig.
Mm-hmm.
They're very good in their muscular development. They've got some muscle to them, and that's why people, when everybody talks about their blue butts that they like to show, a true blue butt came from that Hamp on a York sow.
Right.
That Hamp gave him the muscling that York gave the maternal. She was a good mama, and so that came up with your blue butts.
Right.
Um,
Some of the things to look out for when you're buying a purebred Hampshire, as far as especially if you're wanting to show them, there's some situations where they're getting to an off belt, which would make an off belt pig if it would have white above the back hocks. It cannot have that. If it has too much white on the snout, I believe it cannot get up on the white cannot get up on the rim of the nose. Both of those situations, and if the belt is not continuously all the way around, it doesn't even need to be white skin, but at least it has to have white hair that circles the body. So those are some things to kind of keep in mind. If you do have, on the bears especially, they do not have to be truly marked. They could have just a black head and an all-white body, and you can still show that barrow. Now,
they can still be purebred, still have your papers,
Absolutely.
but it just depends on the different guidelines for different shows, whether or not they can be shown as breeding stock based on their coloration.
Right. So those are not saying that those pigs, if they're off marked, that they're not great quality. Sometimes those are the best Hamp moms you're going to find out there. But just keep in mind when you're looking for a Hampshire and you're wanting to take it out in the show ring, just make sure of the coloring on it. So.
And then Chester is also NSR.
No, Chester is CPS.
Is it? Mm-hmm. I thought, yeah.
Yeah, the
So-
Landrace is the
Yeah.
other NSR one.
So anyways, there's the Chester White. They're an all-white hog as well. Compared to the other white hog with down ears, the Chester's ears tend to be a little bit smaller. Also, very good maternal breed. They run right up there with Yorks on maternal-wise. We had a few Chesters. They're not my favorite pig, but they're
Right,
yeah.
around here, and I said this last week.
Good
we call
maternal
them,
breed.
Right, we call them the chattering Chesters because they just chatter all the time. I find them to be a little bit more high-strung than some of the other breeds, but they definitely have a lot of personality. I guess
Yeah.
that's the way to put it. But they're chatterers. You're going to know a Chester's in the barn.
Yeah, that's for sure. So then, compared to a Chester, the other all-white breed with some bigger ears, when it comes to they're both have down ears or floppy ears, but the Landrace ears tend to be a little bigger. So this is a Landrace hog. Another maternal breed used a lot in the commercial side.
They have huge litters. They have
Yeah.
their underlines are not uncommon for them to have 8 or 9 teats on each side. I mean,
Right.
they're just geared to have big litters, lay down and milk them. They tend to have a tendency not to be as wide at the base as some of the other hogs right now, but they still have a good growing potential too. But they're used a lot in the commercial industries for the litter sizes.
That's for sure. Next breed on here, I'll let Becky kind of talk about that
the
one. That's
spots.
one of their favorites.
The spots, yes, and that exactly what this says. It's a spotted Poland China. They were not actually originated in China, but that's what their name is. But they will also have down ears. There is not any rules whatsoever on how many spots they have to have. A lot of times you'll see one that's a black base with some white spots on it, and then sometimes you'll see them almost all white-bodied with black spots. They can be stress carriers or stress negative. There are no rules against that as well for the spot breed. They're very good maternal. They're not near as good as the Yorkshires or the Chesters of land races, but they still have moderate litter sizes. I think they have, I don't know that Logan agrees with me, but most spots that I've encountered have a very easygoing disposition.
I do not like them. And they don't like me. We don't get along.
Except for Rosie. Rosie likes everybody.
And I did find one spot that I can handle.
Nosy Rosie. But anyways, they're a breed that a lot of younger kids like just because of their coloring and they're fun to look at. So I still love the spots.
Yep. Another one, we'll go from the spotted Poland China to just a Poland China hog.
Right.
Go ahead.
No, I was say we've got a litter out there. It's a really good litter. I won't talk about that right at the moment, but I do like that Poland litter. They're basically a Burke with down ears. The weight of the color.
Same 6 white points.
6 white points. I'm sure that there are some rules about how much white they can have on the body. I know that some white is acceptable, but I don't know that I can 100% answer how much white is acceptable and how much white is not. But the true marking should be a solid black body with 4 white legs, a white tip on their tail, and a white snout, or a white strip on their face.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, Polands are...
Polands are Polands. Moving
Right.
on. To another favorite breed of the Bowens here, and now a favorite breed of, I know my mom, and a favorite breed of mine now that I found one out in the barn that's probably coming home with me. So that would be the Berkshires. So
The Berkshires are kind of, my son has done a lot of research on them. They're actually started in England. They were the pig to the queen. They are actually known for, they just released this week, that out of 12 different categories that they've been testing over the last 10 years, the Berkshire breed has scored the top in nine of those different categories. So they're officially considered the best quality of pork out there. Their meat is a little bit different than most pork. Pork used to have the name known as the other white meat, where Berkshire pork is actually a little bit more on the red tint, kind of like a beef. It actually has marble internalized into the meat, so it can be cooked at high or low temperatures. They also have the 6 white points, the 4 white legs, the white strip up its nose and on its tail. So we're getting into a little bit of a world of the Berkshires of getting a little bit more white on their body. That's completely acceptable, except for if it cannot have a full belt around the pig, and it can't have, and you can get on the American Berkshire Association. They do have their own association. They tend to show with all the CPS breeds of the CPS shows, but the Berkshire breed has their own registry. And if you want to know exactly those rules on how much white that they can carry, look up the AmericanBerkshire.com, and they have those rules and guidelines on there.
okay, now we're gonna move on to two different is a nice way to put it breeds.
The Western, the minor breeds.
They're minor breeds, and I mean they're newer to the show world, or at least in terms of popularity.
But they're taking off like crazy.
They are. They're not my favorite, but a lot of people are liking them. We'll start with a Hereford pig.
The Herefords actually just got into the association with the Chester Whites, the Spots, and the Polands. They are now considered a CPS breed officially. That transition occurred last fall, and I think that they're actually now getting the registries out of that office. Okay. There's also a lot of talk and chatter about the proper markings on a Hereford. Kind of like going back to the world of the Hamps, they can also be an off-marked Hereford. They're supposed to have a solid red body with a white face. Actually supposed to be like a bald face, so the white should go up and over their eyes. They should have 4 white legs, and I believe they're also supposed to have a white tip on their tail, white switch. But I know the white can go as further back as to the point of the shoulder, as long as it doesn't get onto the loin part. But again, if you really want to know the hardcore definition of how much white is acceptable, please get onto cpsswine.com, and it will have complete rules there.
And another one of the minor breeds it seems just like within the past couple of years has really taken off, and that's a Tamworth, which they're an all red, orange, rusty kind of colored pig with erect ears.
Right, and I honestly don't know much about the tam world. I know that they're allowed to have dark pigmentation to their skin throughout the body.
I've seen some with some speckles and some spots to them.
Right. I've only just seen a few tams on my show life, so I wish I knew more about them, but I really don't.
Yeah.
I think we had 2 at the Missouri State Fair last year, so they were actually pretty decent looking for tams. So if they're growing in popularity, I'm sure that we'll start seeing them more and more in the future as we go into it. So
we just kind of wanted to give you an idea of what's out there. That's purebred hogs. You can take any of these pigs and you can cross them and get whatever you want. If you're crossbreeding some of the down-eared hogs, a lot of people don't use them for crossbreeding just because I guess eye appeal would be. And
I think it's a stereotype thing that's been over the years that the pigs that have the Yorkshire, the Hampshire type influences have seemed to have maybe done better over the years, and so that's where everybody kind of goes into it. I can't say the last time I saw a down-eared pig in a crossbred class and actually placed higher. I'm not saying that it was a bad pig. It's almost like it's a stereotype thing. Maybe one day that'll change.
Hashtag all pig lives matter.
Right.
Brandy is asking, her dad has experience with Herefords, and they didn't grow as well as other pigs. Have you found that to be an issue?
I actually have 3 Hereford sows out there. We don't unfortunately have any litters out of them. But I think that the Herefords have changed a lot in the last couple of years. I don't know that I think that they are going at a faster rate. I feel like with the Herefords, it's a little bit harder to keep that nice crisp look on them. They have this tendency to be more barrel rounded than some of the other breeds that they have. But I think that they've gotten a lot of growth into them. I think that the Herefords have come a long ways in the last couple of years. So I think that there's still maybe a little bit of a motherly instinct that is in the Hereford world. But like I said, I can't really say too much about that because I have 3 down there that don't have any litters. So
yeah, and so, but anyways, when it comes to I like purebred swine, and I know a lot of people do, and then there's some people that don't. And you can find crossbreds, which you shouldn't just buy for color,
right.
But some people do.
I like
and
pig.
especially if you've got little kids,
right?
They're gonna pick out the weird colored pigs. So when you get to crossbreds, you can see them anymore. They can range from blue butt to an all blue pig. Blue, it's more of a gray, but like I love those pigs. I've seen red belts here lately. There's been calico colored pigs.
Right.
Just a little bit of everything.
Those calicos kind of always get my attention too.
Yeah.
Especially on your purebred pigs too. Another thing to keep in mind is teat placement and the number of teats on each side. For it to be a registered purebred pig, they have to, and to show in a breeding class, they have to have 6 on each side. It used to be 12 total, so that could be a 7 and a 5, but now I think all registries have changed it to they have to have 6 on each side, a minimum of 12.
Marty would like to know what your favorite crossbreeds are.
My favorite crossbreeds are, oh gosh, I don't know. I'm kind of one of those people that kind of like the color thing, like that little white bear that's out in the barn. I kind of like him because he's unique in his coloring. As far as how I would cross them up, I think I'd have to go back to the days of original hand-port cross.
Yeah, hand-port cross.
I think that's you get the best of both worlds there, and I think that they make some pretty cool looking type pigs. So I would have to go that route.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the.
Now, with saying that, I have a Berkshire on a blue butt cross litter out in the barn,
and those are some thick pigs.
Yes, they are. They really are. So I mean, even though that I say that, I'm really interested to see how these pigs grow out here in the next couple of weeks.
And I've seen a lot of people here lately on the computer and all these groups run on Facebook. It seems like there's been a lot more Burt crosses, or at least people are selling a lot more Burt crosses than there used to be. Right. And I mean, I think Berkshires have gotten to a point where they're just as good as every other breed out there. There's definitely some great breeding pieces out there.
At the Fall Classic this year, the Berkshire actually was the reserve grand champion crossbred. He was 11 days too old to show in the purebred class, and he also carried a stress gene as a stress carrier. In order for them to be sold as a breeding piece in the Berkshire world, they have to be stress negative. So, but yet that boar was good enough. A purebred Berkshire boar was the grand champion crossbred at the Fall Classic. Brought some huge amount of money, and I believe he's staying in Upper Hand Genetics right now. So,
yeah, that's
Upper Hand. I know
purebred hog still, but
but he's
a bunch of crossbreds.
Beat a bunch of crossbreds. So don't count out the Berkshire in that cross world. So they're really starting to make an impact there too.
So yeah, when we just kind of want to give you guys an overview of everything that's out there when you're going out there to buy this year. There's something for everyone. Everyone will find their own kind of favorite breed and probably stick with it through their show career. Right. I've had lots of Durocs and lots of Berks just because if I'm going to do purebreds, those are my favorite ones.
Right.
I have a question on what stress gene carrier means.
So I'm going to try to explain this the best I can here. Pigs have a gene they consider a stress gene, so it makes them not tolerate stressful situations well, whether that be heat, whether that be travel, whether that be the show world, or whether that actually be farrowed. So it's not necessarily, in some breeds, like especially at the CPS, they can be stress carriers, but they have to disclose that up front, especially at a national show. They have to tell you whether that's the stress gene has to be known. The Berkshire world, and I think actually all NSR breeds are stress negative. When you go to purchase them, as long as you have a stress negative breeding, they consider that okay. But in order for you to buy a boar, you have to have him stress tested by the association before you can register any pigs out of him. They want to make sure and verify that that pig is a stress negative. Sometimes I call them the twitchy tail pigs. Like their tails will just sit there and kind of tick a little bit. I shouldn't always assume that they're probably a stress carrier, but that's one of the signs that I can kind of see as far as a pig that doesn't handle stress situations well. I've seen a couple of them at the state fair actually have a stress out moment. It's not pleasant. It's hard to get that pig recovered. And most of the time, the ultimate demise of that pig will be that stress gene.
Yeah.
So definitely something to consider when you're looking at breeding them. As far as showing, it's definitely good to know so you can take care with that pig. But it's always important for me to try to keep as much stress out of the herd as possible, just so I sleep easier at night. So.
Yeah, that's for sure. So a couple of weeks ago, the last time we did this, we had some questions regarding feed. There's not just one right way to do it, and seems like anymore there's a ton of feed companies out there that you can choose from, and even you mix your own. There's just tons of options when it comes to feeding your show pigs. So we did have, I know we had one question that was regarding ground feed versus pellets. And if we would have had more time, we were already running late. Sometimes we're absent-minded. But we would have had some ground feed and some pellets in here, but we weren't thinking about it. So I know we had that question about ground feed versus pellet feed. I think it depends on the pig. And like I said, there's not one right way or wrong way. I typically, like all our sow feed is ground.
Right.
That's always mostly going to come in ground. And then you can get some of your show feeds in a ground mixture. In my personal experience, in my barn, and I'm not speaking for Becky, I'm not speaking for anyone else, but I've seen a lot better conversion rate out of the ground feed than the pellet feeds. And again, this is in general. There's some pigs that would rather eat the pellets. And there's some pigs, when you got a ground feed and you're mixing in supplements that are pellets, they'll pick the pellets out of the ground feed and leave the feed part.
Right.
But in general, I've seen a lot better conversion rate out of the ground feed. I don't know what it is about it. I'm not a feed specialist. Maybe it's because it's ground up finer and it's easier to absorb the nutrients in the feed. That's what I'm going to assume and say to sound smart, but I don't really know. Maybe we'll get a feed person on here one of these days. But I've seen a lot better conversion out of the ground feed. I like to feed ground feed more. But I'll try it out with all of them. It depends on the pig, and it depends on what's available in your area, too.
Right. Like I know in our barns that we start all the babies out on pelletized mini pellet feed. And we'll keep them on that until they get about 50, 60 pounds. And then we can start introducing the ground feed to them then. I know one of the biggest reasons why we switch over to ground feed is obviously the cost involved. Anytime you buy pelletized feed, it's going to be higher because it has to go through more processes to be a pellet. So I know that we start grinding our own when we get to about 18 to 20% feed rate. And so when we get there, we'll just start grinding our own mixtures at home. Now, of course, you can always call your local feed mill and tell them what you want to put in your feed. Most of the feed companies have a base that already has all the minerals and all the fat and the protein and everything else that you need. So you can just have them add that base mixture plus, it'll always tell you the recipe, like so many pounds of base plus so many pounds of protein, which protein most of the time is soybean meal. That's 47.5% per bag. And they'll mix that up for you, and then they bag it up, and you can just go get it. So there's lots of different options you have. It's like Logan said, it's really a personal preference. And I think with any feed, whatever you're the most comfortable feeding is the route you should go. And for the people that are new and don't have a lot of experience with like what works best for you guys, just try some different things. Like maybe have this pin over here on some pellets and have this pin over here on some ground feed, so you can kind of see the difference in yourself on which is growing.
Try Purina on some. Try Showtech on another one. If you've got questions and you don't know, if you go to your feed stores, if you contact these companies, they'll send you. This is some stuff from Mormons, and this is some stuff from Sunglow, I believe. They'll send you stuff about their products. Right. And I mean, it's really easy to find all the information online anyways, but all you gotta do is contact them, and then they'll send you all sorts of information about that.
Most of them have a feed rep, too, that you can call up on the phone and tell them, exactly what your program is and what you're gearing towards, when's your final show, what your the big day, I guess, is. And so that feed salesman will help you put you on a track to get that. And, of course, if the pig's not growing, the way that you would like to see it, then you can always call that feed bin up, and they'll kind of give you some advice on what to do differently.
And I know, at least here in Missouri, all you FFA kids that are going to go to the state convention here this spring, all the major feed companies are there.
Absolutely.
And that's where I got a lot of this stuff. But they have tons of handouts, stuff, and different handouts, all sorts of stuff that they'll give you guys. And talk to them, ask them.
Right.
They're all going to tell you their feed's the best, but you can find out. You can grab feed labels, ask them for feed labels off their feed, and compare what's in them. And just like we said, try it out on different pigs. Because what works for one pig may not work for the other, and that can go with pigs that have the same litter too.
Right.
It's just everybody's different.
And I'm kind of a believer too that just because you start off with one brand doesn't mean that you have to finish with that brand either. I think that it's all personal preference and what you're comfortable with again. But I think that some feeds are better at certain stages than others. So I know that right now our pigs are on Showtech, but I'm not saying that they're going to actually end up on Showtech when they're because I believe it will switch over to Sungalow here before too long. We've fed Linders in the past, and I can't say enough good things about Linders. I've always had good luck with them as well. So
I'm a big Purina guy. Just it was real easy for us. It's still real easy for us to get, and so that's what I've always fed, and I've got that stuff down to a science now, just because I've fed it for so long, and I really do like all their different products.
Right, and then Purina has some really good supplements, and that's something else too that I kind of want to brush on or touch on here in just a second.
Let's answer this question first.
Sure.
What protein percentage should they be feeding their show pigs?
Well, the protein levels are going to change according to the age and the size of the pig. So, like right now, our pigs are still on and we're going to go over this feed tag here in a second, but they're on a 21.5% protein level. So as they get older, when they hit about 100 pounds or so, we'll drop them back to like a 19 or 20% protein. And the bigger they get, we're gonna cut them back. So when they're about 200 pounds, you really want them on a 16%.
Right.
And even when they get to 250, 275 on those breeding gilts, it might not even hurt them, depending on the pig, to drop them back to a 14% protein.
With a little bit higher fat.
If
they're a hard muscle pig, you're going to want some cover on them. If they're a real fatty pig, you need to put some muscle. So it just depends on what your pig looks like at a particular time on what you need to feed. But there's not one set. Like, don't feed 18% from the time they're a baby till the end. You're not going to end up with a very good finished product. There's not one set feed to feed the whole entire time.
Right.
It changes. I mean, it can change weekly on what your pig needs. So it's just kind of different at all stages of the game.
Right. And I know as a breeder, and these kids maybe are taking these pigs home for the first time, and this is their first year showing. I have no problems helping you guys with that feed regimen. We'll probably have litter mates to your pig here at the house, or, I have pigs at the same age here, and I can tell you what we're feeding them, and you can kind of describe to me or send me some pictures of that hog, and we can kind of tell you and point you in the direction where you need to go. I know Logan's a good enough guy that he'd do the same thing. So.
Yeah, you call us with any questions you have, because that's what I don't like, is when they'll come buy a pig, and then they'll just feed it.
Right.
And if they had questions, they might say, well, I didn't know about this or something when you check out their hog at the end. Call me. My phone number's on Facebook. I'll give it to you guys whenever you want it. You call me, and I'll help you out with anything I can. And if I don't know the answer, we'll find someone that does. That's for sure.
We'll find the feed dealer in your area.
Exactly.
If nothing else, that maybe can come out and take a look and see what's going on. Those guys travel all the time, and they're more than happy to come out and take a look at a set of hogs. If I can't get you a clear answer, and I know Logan will do the same thing. So fortunately, we know enough people in the business that we can, help us point you in the right direction as well. So. I don't even remember what I was talking about. Oh my gosh, such a short-term memory here. Yeah, I don't remember. So
I don't know.
You started with supplements, didn't you?
Supplements. Oh my gosh, that's so important too. So there are so many supplements out there that you could almost go broke buying them because they're pretty expensive. Don't get it in your head that you have to have your hog on 5 or 6 different supplements, because that's probably not the case. Your hog probably only needs to be fixed in 1 or 2 areas. And 1 or 2 supplements is probably all you're ever going to need, if you're going to need any at all.
Yeah.
The supplements get pushed really hard. People talk about them all the time, but don't get into the game where you have a laundry list of things you're putting into that feed, because you're actually may turn the pig off from eating completely, and you're going to get reverse effects of what you're actually gaining. So
yeah,
I know one of the things that no ifs, ands, or doubts about it, their pigs are going to get some steamrolled oats, some groats, if you want to call them, when they get into the slopping stage. And by slopping, we mean adding we add milk replacer and then water, some steamrolled oats, and then the feed of whatever we're feeding at the time. And you stir that up into making it into a sloppy mixture, and you feed it to them like that. They usually clean up the pan so quick that you can't even blink an eye. So
that's. And again, you don't have to do that. It depends on your personal pig.
I've seen
that's the way that we've
done
it. Exactly. That's the way we've done it for the past couple of years now. Was slopping. And it seems to be more of a palatability thing for pigs than anything. Sometimes if you got one that's really shallow ribbed, if you're feeding them wet feed, especially with oats, that'll help blow them apart a little bit. Not in a bad way, like you're not gonna blow them up, but like
blow the rib capacity
blow
out.
them apart, make them look a little wider, put some more rib shape in them, which is something that you definitely want in the show rings. So, we could talk about feed for
while you're talking about feed. Why don't you talk about like marshmallows and cake mixes? And cookies.
I know plenty of people that feed cake mixes. I'm not saying that it's harmful to the animal. I'm not saying that it's going to add any value to the animal either. I think that maybe if you have one that's a super picky eater and maybe
one of those palatability things.
So if you need to add some sugar to it or something to sweeten that up, by all means go ahead and use a cake mix, but don't think for a second
I used to do it when it was hot.
Right.
I would add it to watered down food. In situations.
Because sometimes if it gets hot and they go off feed, you need to do a little change just to get them back on that feed.
We've been known to even give them some Gatorade if that's hot outside.
Gatorade powder in the water. That's
So, I mean, there's lots of different things that you can do if they go off feed. Marshmallows are probably one of our favorite treats to give them. They absolutely, they have the mentality of a 3-year-old child. So keep that in mind at all times that, what would you give your 3-year-old child to get? If you wanted them to eat something, you would probably bribe them with something sweet. So by all means, use that as a training tool, just like giving a dog a doggy treat. That marshmallow is a pig treat. So there's vanilla wafers. There's all kinds of things that you can use, but it's usually something sweet. The pigs go nuts over it. They get like a sugar high. So
grapes. One time,
oh yes,
we had the hardest time one year. We had a pig that it hated trailers. If it heard a trailer coming, it was just bad. And so someone had told us to use grapes, and that did the trick. A little trail of grapes, and that went right on the trailer. I don't know. I guess it's just that sugar content too. And it was a little something different than the marshmallows for. But yeah, grapes is another one, a little weirder one that you may not think about. But we've used grapes before, and it turned out.
I have a friend that uses vanilla wafers because they like to be able to shake the box. And so when her pigs hear that box shaking, they automatically come running, and she can get them to go anywhere and get on any trailer and do whatever she wants with a box of vanilla wafers because she sits there and shakes them, and they know the sound. So that's an advantage to those as well. So Chase likes the marshmallows and the vanilla wafers because he likes to eat one too.
Dual purpose treats / snacks.
Exactly. Whatever keeps the showman and the pig happy, do what you need to do. So
is there any more feed questions on there?
That one was on me.
Oh, okay. That's fine. Well, we appreciate
our producer Cassie
got the brain going over here.
So another kind of thing. Do you want to do the feed tag and then
sure?
Move into this?
That's. What do you?
Well,
okay.
Stuff,
Let's go over this feed tag real quick. And I know it's hard to see. I will put a copy of that of a feed tag on Facebook in the comments as well. We're going to have some links for you guys this time because we're getting ready to go over some information that may require a little bit further reading. I want to make sure that you guys get to take advantage of those resources we have. So you're going to see things on there like crude protein. That's where people are talking about their 16, their 18, their 20%. That's how much protein is in that feed. The pig will probably start out around a 22 and end up ultimately being at a 14 to 16%, most likely 16%. The sows we try to keep at 12 to 14% as well. So that's one thing that's huge on there. Protein is for muscle shape, muscle growth, muscle promotion. So, but think about it like you're eating a steak and you can have too much of it. Even though that steak tastes delicious to you, there is such thing as too much protein, and that will make the feed unpalatable if you have that protein rate too high. So another important one on there is the fat content. Fat, one time I had a conversation with Robert Shipley out in Ohio, and this is where I got these comparisons to, and it made so much sense to me. He said, just so like the steak, we love chocolate cake just as much. And you can eat chocolate cake to the point where it doesn't taste good anymore because you're sugar sick on it and you just don't want to eat it no more. You're going to be able to, though, go back. If you eat a 16-ounce steak, you're full and you're sick of eating it. But the next day, your body's going to be, oh, okay, yeah, I could eat a steak again. Where if you get really sick off of the fat, like the chocolate cake, the next day you may not want to even look at chocolate cake or even think about stomaching in it because it made your stomach hurt so bad. So remember that when you're talking about your proteins and your fat, don't take them too high because you'll make it where the pig will go off feed. So, you want to talk about lysine? I mean, I don't know as much about lysine as I probably should. I know it's also for muscle promotion growth and...
Yeah. I mean, I know there's some feeds that have it, it's always going to have it in there. Some levels are a little higher.
Right.
I think it's more of an important when they're littler to make sure they meet that lysine requirement. The older they get, the fatter they get.
The less that they need.
Exactly. Definitely something that's important for the baby pigs. I know that much about it.
Right.
It's an immune health thing.
Yeah.
Oh, good. I'm glad Cassie's here with us. See? So,
our producer behind the scenes, she
Right?
won't show her face, but sometimes she has good information.
Right. And then there's also other things in here, some trace minerals like some calcium, some phosphorus, some salt, and some zinc and things like that. Those are things that are just in the feed for palatability and for a little bit of health, but they're not things that I would take into consideration comparing one feed to the next. The three things I look at are the most important to me are the crude protein, the fat, and the lysine.
Yep.
So,
along the same lines as feed, a new development, if you want to call it, in the livestock world this year has been the VFD, which you've heard a lot about. We did a little bit of research about it.
Which, if in case you don't know, the VFD stands for Veterinary Feed Directive. It actually came down to us from the animal world from the FDA concerning about antibiotics entering the human food chain. And so, you want to kind of describe what you kind of learned, and I'll kind of go over what I learned?
It's like I said, the Veterinary Feed Directive. So what it is it's some of the feeds you get, and this doesn't affect a lot of feeds.
Right.
It still affects some that you're going to feed. But there's a good chance that some of the times, especially the younger animals, you're going to buy a medicated feed. Right. And that medicine in there, it's in there for a reason, and it's not harming the animals. The antibiotics, it's the same thing. Like, if your kid was sick, would you just let them go? Right. No, you're going to give them an antibiotic, that kind of thing. And these are in preventative measures a lot with the medicated feeds. But there's been concern from different groups, and so they just wanted to regulate it. And they're not saying you can't feed it, because you can. It's just now it requires a little more work. You need a good relationship with your vet. That's one thing that we're going to stress on this, is a relationship with your vet. But you go to the vet, you fill out your veterinary feed directive. He fills it out for you. You have to have, it's like a prescription. Like when you go get medicine, that's what it is. It's a prescription, but for the feed for your animals. I think the vet has to have one on file, and the feed store you're buying from, and you have to have a copy. Anyways, you've got all that down. And then as long as they've got it, and it's something that your vet says that your animal definitely needs.
And it's labeled for that.
Exactly, and it's labeled for that animal. Then the feed store can get it for you, no problem. And you can feed the same. Now, a lot of companies, like I know Purina, just because I've been dealing with Purina, has some of their medicated feeds that certain medicine, whatever was in it, they've taken it out. The feed still is good. It's still serving the same purpose, but they've taken that certain medication out. So it doesn't require a VFD. So it doesn't require as much work, because there's a lot of, if you're a producer, you definitely need to know about this, and you're definitely going to have one for a lot of things. If you're just a kid showing, you probably didn't know much about this. You need to look it up. I found a pretty good handout from University of Nebraska Extension. We'll link that on Facebook too, where you guys can look at it. It kind of just goes over it's a basic general overview for all youth and 4-H and FFA that are showing. It's kind of an overview for you guys that answered a lot of questions for me. And we'll link that on Facebook so you guys can take a look at that too.
And I know too that they the Pork Quality Assurance, the PQA, the SMQA, I believe that's what it's called here in the state of Missouri. When you take that class, which is geared towards anybody that's showing a market animal, whether that be a cow, sheep, pig, goat, whatever it is, you're required in the state of Missouri to take that class so many times before the age of 13 or 14, I believe, and then once after that. So they will cover all of this stuff that we're talking about as well, and put it in terms for the kids and everybody to understand. Some of the things to keep in mind, that what kind of drugs, like I know that was one of the questions that I had, like what drugs is this actually infecting? And we'll put a link again on Facebook that I found from the University of Minnesota Extension Council that talked about some of them. And I have some of the more common ones that I knew that I recognized by National Pig Day sign. That's all right. Yeah. Like Lincamax is on there, which was used to prevent pneumonia. Also penicillin, some Talon. Those are all for, respiratory issues. And then also there was some medicines on there that, treat or prevent scours. So I just want to let you guys know what some of those drugs are and so in case you have a pig that has scours that maybe before in the past what you were feeding already had a drug in there to help take care of it, where now you may need to call your vet to get a prescription for one of these drugs to actually give it to them orally or by shot. Some of the medications that have always been required a prescription for and will remain for that, like one of them is Nuflora. I know that's become pretty popular here in the last few years. And some that are not required to have a VFD for is any wormer. You can give them wormer and instill in the feed or whatever you want to do that. It's not required a prescription for. And then also Paline, which is in a lot of feed products for the market animals. So, yeah. Again, can't stress enough just to have a good relationship with your vet. If you have any of these questions, your veterinarian will be more than happy to help you answer them. But one of the things that I read in here is to invite your vet out to the house and to let them look over the farm. And so they can kind of see how your operation's working. And so if they can see any concerns that maybe that they would say like, hey, you might want to start feeding this or whatever. But if that's never a bad idea to have that veterinarian come out and kind of look things over, see where you're going, see what the facilities are like.
So we just kind of wanted to let you guys make sure you're aware of this VFD, because I know maybe a lot of kids weren't aware of it. If you don't pay attention to the news per se, it was a big thing in the news.
Right.
But a lot of at least youth aren't going to pay that much attention to it. But at least the parents need to know. Is there comments, questions? What's going on back there?
I just think a lot of people are scared of it, and it's not
and
something
it's really not.
to be scared of. It's
something to be aware of.
It's really for our benefit. Because the better you take care of your animals,
the better they'll perform.
Right.
Because
and just
kind of what
shoving the drugs down them might not be the only thing that you can do.
Logan used earlier the comparison between like we wouldn't let our child be sick, but also in the same context we also wouldn't give our child antibiotics just as a precaution. We would only give them the antibiotics when they needed them. For one, it develops the child could possibly develop immunities to it, and I think that they're worried about that same thing happening in the animal as well. It's not necessarily a bad thing that's happened. It's just something that it changes our world. It kind of changes the way we think about things. Because one of the things on here too is maybe that we need to assess, like, is it the animal really that bad that it needs a shot, or is it something that's going to in a couple of days maybe clear up its own? Is there any alternatives that we can think of outside of giving them medicine? Maybe is it the fact that you have a pig that's coughing? Is it coughing because it's actually sick, or is it coughing because maybe you need to clean out the stalls because there's a high ammonia smell in there? It may not always be an illness that is causing the problem. So I think it's a good thing. And I don't think it's anything to be scared of, like you said, Cassie. I think it's just something that we need to be aware of. And, if anybody asks you questions, at least you know what they're talking about. If you get into a conversation, it comes up, at least you know what they're talking about. Or at least you've heard of it. So it's definitely a great conversation starter.
That's for sure. Well, is there anyone have any questions? If you're watching, you got questions. It doesn't have to be about stuff we've covered tonight. If you have questions in general.
You're getting a lot of good information. Thank you.
And there went the sign for good.
So sad day at the National Pig Day sign fell down, but we had some Scotch tape on it. So
yeah.
Well, one more thing I want to cover is kind of a surprising thing because I never really thought that I would be a dealer of Shield Plus, but that happened this week.
I did not know that. There's one thing we didn't talk about.
So
new development, breaking news on our show here.
Trish Dalby is actually going to drop off a bunch of product for the open house this weekend. I have some flyers and stuff on it. So if you guys would like some more information on Shield Plus, please let me know. She actually dropped me off 2 buckets last Saturday, and they didn't even make it 24 hours before they sold. So she's bringing me a lot more of it. So it's kind of interesting here. This kind of goes back to the little bit of the VFD stuff. Like if we can control some of the elements in the barn that are causing the pigs to get sick, then we won't need to give them any medication at all. Nobody likes giving a pig a shot. It's not a fun process. We don't have pig shoots, or at least most people don't have pig shoots. So it's not and it's expensive. So if you can prevent some of those illnesses happening before they're even there, keeping the bedding clean, keeping the flies out as much as possible. You're going to help things like veterinary expenses, the longevity of your bedding, reproduction, the comfort, the cleanness, the odors. It's going to help with milk production, and it's going to help with growth. There's just lots of huge advantages to it. I know that this probably a couple of years ago, I probably would have not thought anything about. But now that we've been using it on a regular basis, I can definitely tell. I'm excited to see how much of an advantage we have this summer when the flies start coming out. I'm not looking forward to fly season.
I was in the barn the other night when it was 70 degrees down in Seville, and I had flies in the barn, and it's February. Well, it's March now, but it was February, and I had flies.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward
I like the warm temperatures, but I was not ready for flies.
Right. So when we think about flies, they're attracted in there because of the moisture. They're attracted in there because of the feces, and also the odor. The ammonia odor actually attracts the insects. And so by keeping the odor down, keeping the moisture out, and helping dry up the feces, they're not a reason for that fly or that flying insect to be in the barn. I'm not saying this is going to control the flies 100% because I know that that's not possible. Flies around here in July and August are horrendous. And so I don't expect there to be zero flies, but I do hope that maybe at the pig level on the ground, there's maybe not as many. I'm really anxious to see how this works. So if you guys have any questions about this, let me know. I can send you one of these out or send you the website so you guys can do some reading on yourselves. But I don't usually plug products like this, but I really do feel pretty adamant about using Shield Plus. So I think that was my last plug. Do you guys have any more questions or anything for us? What, you guys have any more topics of maybe what you want to hear for next week? I don't know that I have anything pre-thought of.
I know we do kind of want to go over, and I think we maybe might plan on this more of, at least when we're together down at the open house in Seville. We do want to have a on-location episode of Bacon Tonight. We'll change it to today during the day at the open house. Kind of go through, we'll show you the pigs in the barn. Maybe we'll talk to some customers who aren't camera shy. And that evening after the sale, I think we're going to do one, at least, what you need to do when you get your show pig home.
Right.
Because we're definitely in sale season now.
Absolutely, hot and heavy. I mean, it's just starting off, but I mean, it's like when sale season hits, it's like, you know, you flip a switch.
Everybody's got one now, so.
Right, exactly. Two, I want to kind of visit with you guys a little bit about some fun things that I'm going to actually announce this. I was going to do it tomorrow, but I'll go ahead and kind of give you guys a sneak peek on what's going on. We're going to have some drawings. I kind of alluded to that earlier. So, first, showing up, you guys are going to get an entry. If you guys check in that you're here at the Bowen Show Pigs Farm, you're going to get an entry. If you leave us a review, you're going to get another entry. And for every pig you purchase, you're going to get 3. Some of the things that we're going to be giving away is I have some t-shirts that made up. I also have some of the Arctic tumblers made up. And I'm actually having a painting done. There's going to be something special for the person that drove the furthest. And we're going to gauge that by their address to our address on Google. So we're going to have to trust Google, which I'm pretty sure is pretty safe to do. So I'm pretty excited to have all that stuff. Some interactions with you guys. Got some help. Got a great family coming down. I've talked about the Hepners more than once on here. They're coming down Friday night to help get things set up, and they'll be with us here all day on Saturday. So if you have any questions, I'm going to refer you, maybe some of you guys, to Nick and Lane. They have an obsession with pigs like we do. So they're going to fit in great around here. So.
Yeah.
Well, you have a showmanship demonstration on the 18th. Logan, did you do showmanship?
Yes, I did showmanship. I didn't win a lot of things in my show career, but I did win showmanship. I really didn't, okay? My sister has a lot of trophies down in the basement. I don't, but I got a jacket because I won showmanship. Okay, so yes, I didn't really think about that. Maybe if we got something that's semi-cooperative the day of the sale, we could maybe do something like that. I think
we could do some talking points though about, you know, how far do we stand from the judge.
Yeah.
We can talk about what are some questions that you'll be presented to you in showmanship. Maybe you can do like that, stuff like that. I don't know that at the age that the pigs are right now, especially after traveling, that they're going to be the most cooperative animals in the world. Want to get them out of a pen and drive them around. I do know that we're going to do a live feed on showmanship. I would look for that probably sometime in April.
In April, yeah, that's for sure.
So I know that that's been a huge one. I know we're going to get our show boxes out. We're going to show you guys what's inside our show boxes.
Yeah, that's one that we want to do for sure is get our show boxes up here. We're going to show you what's our go-tos on whatever show you go to. Because there's a lot of products I will not leave the farm without.
Right.
So we've got that planned. We do have a showmanship one planned. I don't really know what all. I mean,
I would like
send
to
us
get
your
Chase.
ideas.
I want to get Chase in here, and maybe next week will be a good week for that. I'm not for sure unless you guys come up with something different for you guys to be able to ask him some questions. And keep in mind that he's a little bit camera shy, but get the world of a show pig from a 13-year-old child. I almost aged you, buddy. From a 13-year-old child, and see how he, what he thinks about it, and what he thinks is the pros, the cons, the struggles, the part that he doesn't really like. I know he's got some chops on him. He's his mother's son, and he can talk. For some reason, he prefers to do it in person, but I think we're going to break him out of the shell, and he can do it on camera too. He's shrugging his shoulders like, yeah, I got this. No, I'm not a big deal.
One of these days, Cassie will come around the camera too.
Yep. If nothing else, we'll trick Cassie and like, oops, there you are.
Yeah. So yeah, send us, even if it, you know, you don't have anything right now. If you think of something that you want us to talk about,
right,
let us know. We'll try and. We pretty much plan every Wednesday now about 7 o'clock. We're going live, so
right. So yeah,
we'll cover anything you want us to cover.
Right.
Even if we don't know much about it, we'll find something.
We always have a planning session right after we get done too, so we're always still here together for at least a couple hours afterwards. We still have to fix supper yet, so we're going to be around here together for a while. So if you guys come up with anything, please let us know, and feel free to share this video. I feel the best about this video than we've done with one in a long time. Like, I think we've covered some really important stuff. I think we've done a pretty good job of explaining for people, so please feel free to share it. We would love to have as many people watch as possible. So we love your guys' questions. That helps keep us going and helps remember that sometimes, like, we get to talking about it and we forget that people don't know what stress gene is and things like that.
Ooh, Logan, a topic for later could possibly be the AI process.
You know, I thought about that too.
We could do that.
We could do that, and I would be more than happy to do a live feed on the whole thing. On, you know,
I did. Going into my past, I did a demonstration once, and I have a hand-drawn poster of the back end of a sow and a reproductive tract that I did a demonstration on this. So yeah, I'll dig that out of my closet.
We may need that for next week.
Yeah, we're also getting graded on that next week in class, me and Cassie over there are. So yeah, we could do that. That's a good one.
That is a good one.
Think about that. We just think of it as kids buying show pigs. Maybe if some of you guys that are wanting to take these pigs home and breed them later.
Right.
We can do that.
We could maybe do one here in the spring, even as kind of an off season for us to breed pigs. But then I would like to actually have a gilt or a sow out there staining and have some semen on hand. I don't know that I want to breed anything right at the moment because I'm not a fan of summer litters just because summers are crazy busy anyways. But maybe we can kind of talk about supplies and kind of get those things in mind for them. And then this fall, you know, come August, when I say fall, I mean like August, September, we can actually do an actual live breeding. So that would be fun. I mean, it's part of the world. I mean, that's how the bacon gets here. So
exactly. So yeah, if you've got more ideas, let us know. We'll kind of, like we said,
we're trying to get a little bit more organized about this too. So
even if we don't have anything to talk about, we'll still be here Wednesday at 7. You might just be in on one of our conversations that we have. I don't know what we're going to talk about, but we'll be here.
And we never have lack of anything to talk about.
No, and if nothing else, we'll be here eating dinner, so you can watch us eat dinner too. So
right. So I guess we'll let you guys go. Thanks for joining the first official episode.
Bacon Tonight.
Bacon Tonight.
We're a big squeal. That's our logo. We got real creative this evening.
In about 5 minutes.
Yeah, tune in next week. There'll probably be a theme song and an intro. And
right. So enjoy the rest of the National Pig Day. Thank you guys for joining us, and thanks for all your great questions.
Yep.
See you next week.